Shit. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Headhunters in Boxers Talking Smack. And today we have the Edwards boys from over the pond, Terry Edwards, Drew Edwards,
Whoa.
the man, the myth, the legends. And today we're going to be talking about, lots of stuff, stuff in the news, but mainly the pain points, the what's going on with the pandemic, the lockdown, all that jazz. Terry and Drew are coming off their best month ever. They're talking to a lot of recruiters about their pain points, everything that's going wrong in the business. And so we are going to be talking about that. And from there, we're just going to let it all hang low, if you know what I mean, guys. So that said, let's dive in. So
Let's
welcome
dive into
to the
the
show,
Edwards.
Terry. Welcome,
Totally.
Drew. And welcome, Neil.
Hi, folks. Hi, DSP. Hi, Neil.
Yes, so the Edwards boys. So a lot of guys. So so you guys, you're brothers. You look like brothers. You look like father and son. You look like cousins.
No, well, you're right the first time. Brothers, yeah.
Are you brothers?
Yeah.
No.
It's father and son, right?
Yeah.
All right. So that's what I always thought, right?
Neil,
But you could be brothers. You look wonderful. It could be the bald head. You know what I mean?
Terry, you
don't
look,
have any
you
gray.
look great.
Right.
You look great
No,
for
you're
80.
totally
Great. Not a day under 80.
You're not one gray hair on you. Not a one gray hair.
Not one.
There's no hair on him. He's hairless.
That's what's great.
Shorn.
It's great for aging, right? Like you could be 100. You're totally ageless. You're either 20 or 90.
Well, I'll go for the 20. I'll go with that. That makes Drew older than me. I'll take that.
Terry, speaking of which, and the public wants to know,
They do.
considering that you kind of do the shaved head thing, do you shave your chest?
Well, that's not what they want to know. Let's talk about the
They
chest.
do want to know.
I want to talk about your pubes, Terry. They want to know if you're shaving the genital region. That's what they want to know. That's why
Everywhere.
I really don't want to know that. I really don't.
Adult
No,
show.
a
sir.
son doesn't want to picture his father's
Family
penis.
show.
I'll tell you that from experience.
Yeah,
You do not.
that is a day you never forget, when the bathrobe kind of falls open the wrong way on a Sunday morning when you're 8 years old.
I
Believe me.
remember that totally. I would go to the swim
you
club
remember
with
that
my
day.
dad, right? And you would change and do the shower. And as a kid, you just remember being amazed at it. And there's so much going on there when you're a kid. You know what I mean? Drew, do you remember when you first saw your dad's penis? For real. Was it like
no.
swiming?
This is
I don't
the
remember.
show?
No.
Just the show. Or I want to bring this in because this is getting out of hand. So that said, I want to ask our guests of honor, and first off, I apologize. They obviously did not watch any of the shows before they came on. Otherwise, they wouldn't be here.
Drew. Did you not tell me these guys were professionals and we ought to join these professional guys? Did you not say that?
I told you you'd lose clients.
I apologize.
Yeah,
Totally
with our
gonna lose
tens of
clients.
viewers here. Our tens of viewers. So that said, let's do this. Let's talk bit more about you guys. But with that said, for the folks who are joining us, we are using a different platform. We're using Zoom, not the one we were using before. So just drop your comments in. Well, the comments of the live, and if you have any questions, we'll try to get to those throughout the show, please. But with that said, I guess Terry, Drew, let me. I'm curious, before we get into some of the details and some of the value bombs, that these recruiters come for, because they certainly don't come for the jokes. I'm curious, how did you guys kind of get together and work? Because obviously, a father-son duo is a bit unique, right? And I'm curious how that all developed.
So I had a coaching. Go on, Drew. You go.
So, well, the way Terry had, obviously, the former recruiter, set up a coaching business. From my point of view, I had, in university.
Was it breaking up? You breaking up on your end, David?
Yeah, it's breaking up here on my end.
Yeah, it's pretty. Yeah, you're breaking up. So yeah, just to finish up what Drew was saying, Drew was at university, and left uni, and then set up his own business. He initially set up a telemarketing company. So he was then working with coaches, getting appointments for coaches. So he employed people, and he would reach out to coaches and get appointments for coaches. And so he was predominantly cold calling all the time. So this is where we appreciated the pain of cold calling, because he was doing that for coaches all over the world on a regular basis, as well as me. And we just became aware that whenever we stepped up the marketing, whenever I stepped up the marketing, and Drew and his team were then making appointments for me, there was a dramatic improvement in the performance. So you then call in recruiters, obviously, as he was for me, and there we go. Yeah, I know who Terry Edwards is, and obviously he's kind of thinking, this makes sense now. The way to get appointments is to step up the marketing. So really, that's how it came about. Drew, being my son and just that little bit younger than me, really appreciated technology, because I'll be honest, I can't spell IT, never mind how to operate. You know, I really can't.
Spelled IT.
So I was always wondering. Like, I remember when Barb Bruno, right? So famous trainer in the industry. Her daughter's like, and Barb's getting old. Nothing personal, but so our daughter, I don't know what they call Sarah Bruno or whatever. It's like the heir to the Bruno throne. And I'm like, is this genetic? Is this like a sports thing, like in a dynasty? Like I don't know. Like, is my kid going to be a headhunter in boxers? Like, do I have him so wearing boxers now? No. I'm serious. Is it? Do you think there's like is there a genetic? It's a weird business to me to have a father-son kind of thing. I think it's super cool for the reasons you mentioned.
Yeah, it's harkening back to the days of old when the blacksmith would get the apprentice, and you teach the apprentice how to smith
it does harken
things, whatever, I don't know, to do the blacksmithing work, and then you kind of pass on, and that's why we have the last name Smith,
right?
Whatever,
but
right?
It's super cool.
Kind of like it's kind of like the father teaching the son, or maybe it's more like the son teaching the father, the other cool digital marketing stuff. But that's the way I look at it. It is pretty interesting. You know what? I tell you what, when I first got into the coaching biz, and I was looking at different kind of trends that have been around, and you guys have been around for quite some time, and it was interesting to see you two working together. And you did have that sort of angle where Drew really had the IT, the kind of the marketing side, the digital marketing sort of chops, and you had your recruiting chops, and kind of brought that together, which is very, very interesting. And it was and funny enough, by the way, and I've told this story not story, but I just said this many times, as far as Terry and Drew, you guys were when I got into the business this side after from recruiting for many years, you guys were some of the nicest folks ever, so welcoming, so cool. Probably laughed Muhammad back the entire time, but whatever. But it was I got to admit, it was pretty cool. So anyway, I was always curious how that kind of developed, the father-son thing. I guess let me ask you this, Drew, you have kids, right? You have a son, I believe?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, another one on the way, yeah.
Another one. So how old is he?
3.
2. So when you
you're close to my say, huh? You're working too much. He was born something. Yeah. That's all right.
By the way, in the comments here, I see the animal just said that
Hey.
I don't see the comment here. He said something about the sexual tension.
Animal. You had your time, Animal. You were on the show 2 weeks ago. You had your time. But there is a sexual tension. I'm not going to lie. I don't know. Is it the English accent? Is it the English accent? I think so. You're both very charming, and I find myself uniquely attracted to each of you. I really do.
Neil, you're only human. It's understandable.
How you can't help it. If it's wrong to be attracted to the Edwards boys, I don't want to be right. I really don't.
Edwards boys.
The men.
Yeah, Edwards boys. So all right. So let's dive more into your business. Yeah. So right now, I'm not sure if the audience is aware of this now, but there is a pandemic happening right now. In fact, there's even a lockdown in many parts of the world, right? So obviously, business has kind of sucked for a lot of people. So I'm curious here. Tell us about what has been going on in your business with this pandemic. As it's been up, it's been down. Have you what have you been working with your clients? So just give us the kind of the laydown or the lowdown, rather, if you will, please.
The laydown. Yeah. Get your mind out of the gutter.
I'm sorry.
I think what's interesting is that we were talking about this earlier. Initially, when the pandemic or the shit hit the fan, a lot of business owners, ourselves included, panicked. And for the first few days, it's like, shit, what are we going to do? And it's interesting now when you reflect back and we talk to recruiters every day of the week, because a lot of recruiters, as it hits, and in the UK we have this thing with furlough, so they could put their consultants to one side and pay them 80% of their salary. So the immediate reaction is that's what we're going to do. We're going to furlough our consultants until whenever. Interestingly, though, some recruiters said, hell no, this is now a great opportunity for us. We're going to furlough our underperforming consultants, but the guys who are billing right now, they can bill regardless because there's still business out there. And I remember one recruiter telling me, he said, look, and I was shocked when I was told this, and he said, here's a fact, Terry. If you go onto LinkedIn, this was I think it was the 7th of April, there was 650,000 jobs, 100,000 jobs on LinkedIn on the 7th of April.
In the UK.
The peak, that was just in the UK. And he said, there's opportunity out there. And what we know is if you look at what everybody's doing, if you tend to do the opposite of what everybody else is doing, is that's where you're gonna take advantage and take advantage of the opportunity. So interesting, some recruiters didn't furlough and they actually stepped up. We were just talking to a guy only an hour ago. We said, what did you do? He said, I stepped up my marketing. He increased his ad spend on LinkedIn and Facebook. In fairness, we did as well, because there were more opportunities than ever before. And there was less opportunity, there was less competition. I don't know, anything you'd add to that, Drew?
Well,
yeah, I think, just to add, I think, you know, one of the things that struck me about what's going on now is that I see the pandemic, it's obviously a problem. It's obviously a concern. I don't think for a lot of businesses, it didn't cause problems. It just highlighted weaknesses that were already there. So with people that we're speaking to, you know, if you look at some of the problems it caused, if you've got low profit margins, if you've got underperformers, if you're relying on too few clients, these were always problems. And I think when the pandemic hit, it sort of highlighted those. So we had a lot of people reach out to us. And in that time, there was like two groups. There was those that were really panicking, you know, really didn't know what to do. But there was another group who were really calm. And to be fair, we even took inspiration from that as well, because they were calm because they were doing the right things before. They had cash reserves. You know, they were ready. You know, obviously, no one could have predicted COVID-19, but even you, Dave, I know you've been talking about a recession coming for a long while. Now, we all knew it was going to come. We didn't know the cause, but we knew it was going to come. So I think if you've done the right things before, then you know you've got less cause for concern. Whereas if you had previous weaknesses, it really highlighted those. But you know, that's business. I think it's a perfect time to fix those weaknesses. So you know, going forward, they're eliminating.
So what marketing? So when you both talk about marketing, both in you and in your clients, the recruiters, increasing it, what specific things have you seen? Like, for example, you both have a great Facebook group. David, of course, has a great Facebook group that we're on now. I've got a Facebook group, Independent Recruiters. So we have, but Herc and Ursa, Independent Recruiters and Staffing Agencies. You guys, what's yours?
Make more placements community.
Make more placements community. How much of your business comes from the
you need to hashtag some kids. All the kids are hashtagging nowadays.
They are hashtagging. Hashtag.
I just call it pounding. We used to use a pound.
Like Ursa, but no one knows my book. So how much of your clients are from your Facebook group using social media, would you say? 100%, 80%, 50%?
No, probably not even that. We get most of our clients off LinkedIn. So yeah, probably not even that. But there's going to be crossover, right? People on LinkedIn who are also in our Facebook.
LinkedIn advertising, or using Octopus or Duck Soup or what?
We don't use any automation tools on LinkedIn, just because we used to, and then we sort of started getting warnings about being shut down, so we stopped doing that. Most of our clients don't either for the same reasons, but you know what they do is they outsource it. So they'll get someone in the Philippines to do sort of the button clicking for them. So that will be posting, and even like Messenger, you know, scripts that they use in Messenger to talk to prospects.
But are you and your clients paying for Facebook and LinkedIn ads? Is that what you're saying?
Our clients not so much. We do LinkedIn ads, we do Facebook ads.
Okay.
And I will tell you this, I'm going to interject here. For those of you who have always talked about social media advertising, now is a great time to get in. Actually, it was even better a couple months ago, but ad costs are you guys have probably experienced this, but for me, ad costs are way down, and I do have clients that will do social media advertising, and it's a great deal right now.
You know what? Listen, for sure, do the math, right, David? Like I took from you, because we talked about this a little bit a while back, but I stopped doing it because you would get these crazy bills from Facebook, and it just $1,500, $1,800, $2,300, and it was totally adding up. And you know, David, you know. And it's a great idea that everyone should be doing, is taking your prospect list. We talked about this on one of the episodes But it's been so great for me, taking your prospect list, uploading it, and creating your audience in Facebook so that the only people are all the leads and the names that I've harvested. They're totally targeted to only my users. So although I'm getting those $900 invoices, it's easy enough to do the math. So every $3,000 I spend, I'll make $10,000 from a client. And, so if I get 1 or 2 clients signed up, it's an ongoing program, I guess is my point. And it's something that David's, it's definitely a great time to be in on it for sure.
Yeah, you're really paying, like, one of our philosophies is that you can't, in recruitment, you can't create demand, can't make someone want your service. That demand happens naturally. But what we can do is we can make sure that when that demand comes, we're the first person they think of, right? So, retargeting is a great way to constantly be giving value, constantly being in front of your prospects. So when they have a need, they think, I'm going to ring David or I'm going to ring Neil.
Mm-hmm. It is. Well, also, I think for me, the advertising has been great for knocking down false beliefs. So for example, there's the education part of it. I was talking to my group yesterday about lead magnets, about how, you can get a lead magnet that's like, LinkedIn checklist, and like people, will send in their email for that. And it's great. You get, I guess, kind of a lead, but the best lead magnets are the ones that do provide value, but along the way, they also teach, they kind of teach what you do specifically. So by the end of it, they're like, oh, geez, I want that. But before they may not have even been looking for that. Like, when people are, I need to fix my blank, right? And it could be something as simple as let's say I need to fix my
Tinder funnel, right? Just as a reminder, Tinder funnel's coming back this week.
But it might not be that. It actually may be something non-sexy. Operations, service delivery, but it's the sexy thing that gets them in. But as they kind of dive in and they realize, oh, it's actually this thing, it's actually that thing. And I think a great lead magnet is, or just any advertisement in general, is one that kind of does it, because it's going to qualify the people. The people that don't resonate with you, they're just not going to be into it. But the people that are, I had this saying, if you ever have a referral for me, don't just give it to me. Just put them in my Facebook group for like a month and let them marinate, and then let them talk to me. If they still want to talk to me after a month, then okay, then they're probably going to resonate with me. If not, then they'll go somewhere else. And that's why I think the advertising helps you do a lot, because otherwise, your clients are likely not going to be, your prospects are likely not going to be seeing your organic, or they're not going to be seeing your organic content, right? Because there's so much noise out there. So just pay for access.
And anyway, I want to hear the Edwards talk about this element for David, and what he does great is so into the polish, the way, the appearance, the smoothness, the slickness. It's so important. And it's so easy to do with all the tools, all the great tools, the Canva, the InVideos, all these wonderful things to make you look like $1 million. These quick video ads, things that you'll put to it could be 100 people you're only putting your ads onto. It'll cost you nothing. When they see these ads and everything, it makes you look so much more grand and differentiate from the others. So talk to us about what you're seeing out there.
Well, one of the things I would say about ads, I think ads are a fantastic idea, but I think often when we talk to recruiters and we talk about ads, and many times a recruiter will say, I've tried ads and it didn't work. And they've tried it and it hasn't worked because they've never been shown how to do it. I guess they've looked at it on the YouTube clip or whatever. And so if you've never been shown how to do this, what I would say, I would add a bit of caution and say, ads do work if you know how to do them. And don't sort of listen to this and think, right, I want to go and spend some money on ads. You've got to know how to do them. So it's not just the knowledge of what to do, it's also how to do it as well. So I think that's critical. And we've all experienced it. You invest some money in an ad, and that's what it is. Drew used the term. It's an investment. If you, for every 1,000 of your local currency you spend on an ad, and you get, say, 10 leads, and you only convert one of those, and if your average placement is 15, 20, 30,000, hell, why not? But you've got to do it properly. There are so many people out there doing it wrong. And ads, people spend 96% of Facebook alone revenue just come from their ads alone. 96%. That's $56 billion a year just from ads. So they make a lot of money, but they make a lot of money from people that do it wrong as well. So just be absolutely clear about that.
Well, as you work and to piggyback off your point, And by the real quick, in the comments, Mario R says nice background DSP. Thank you, Mario R, if that's your real name.
No, I know the real name. We have to talk
Carrie,
offline. I totally know it.
I know. And Carrie says we need more gals on the show. And Carrie, I agree.
We had a gal last week. We had trouble. We have some gals coming up. We have some good ones.
Because patriarchy. So, but let's move on from patriarchy. About the ads though. And you're 100% right. So a lot of I've seen a lot of people like that, or a lot of recruiters will try ads like, it doesn't work. And I heard this great analogy from Gary Vee a few years ago, where he said like, somebody, when you try ads and like, it doesn't work. It's kind of like you see a bicycle and you try to ride the bicycle with your hands on the pedals. You're like, well, it doesn't work. Well, no, of course not. It doesn't work for you doing it that way. But I think a lot of people that are not in the recruiting business, they come in and they try to do these like ads where it's like, okay, here's the button, go to the landing page, boom, 30% convert, and then they buy the toaster, and then there's the upsell. Like, that's not the kind of ad that you need to run here in our business. It's a much more relationship building, long game type of ad. And I think that's the other issue too, I think, is that people, they spend like $100 on Facebook. They say, okay, how many appointments I'm going to get from that, and how many clients I'm going to get? Like, I don't know, man. It's not. It's a long game. It's like farming. You got to plant, and then eventually you can harvest. But it's not an immediate thing.
Okay, I would say this to add to your accelerator program. And again, not a commercial for it, but it doesn't even have to be the Facebook ads. It's the whole image. It's the landing page that you have. It's the lead magnet that you have. It's the David, as we talk about, your MPC page where you got a program. Those are all ads to me. That's all. It's stuff that you just drive people to that gives you the impression that you're different. It's a great time for people, as we've seen, to do these things that they haven't had time to do before. Let me really make my book or whatever it is look great. And just the emails that follow that are so simple to do, to look wonderful, right? So, I mean, that's my take on a lot of things. And certainly, David, you do it better than anyone, right? I mean, you do.
Okay. I appreciate it. It's a pain in the ass, let me tell you.
It's a pain in the ass, right? Which is why some people pay to do it. But it makes a huge difference in how you brand yourself now. But it's all doable. Stuff that would cost you a fortune to do before. It's just all doable so cheaply.
Yeah.
But enough of us.
Nowadays, well, let me ask you, I guess, speaking of that, you get a lot of recruiters out here that haven't done any, whether it be social media or really anything like this, right? You got your old school dudes that they're still rocking look what I got on my desk. I still got one of these things. Isn't that crazy?
What is it? It's oh, wow.
In the before times, this is what people would use to speak to other, I don't know how to use it nowadays, but
I don't understand your world. Are there demons in there?
But I guess my question is, what would your suggestion be for somebody who is the recruiter who's just kind of starting out, doesn't know any of this stuff yet, isn't ready to go spend buku bucks with me or you or whoever else, but just kind of on their own? What would you say their first steps should be?
Buy low, sell high.
To get into this.
Well, I think before you spend money on ads, I think you need to make sure the economics in your business are right. I think, when people say, ads don't work or it's not the fees are too low, it might be low. So I think
Drew.
Yeah, breaking up again. Drew, you might want to log back out and come back in if we want to risk that.
You want to try that?
Might want to try that.
While he's doing that, one thing I would say to anybody that 80% of your success comes from what's going on in your head. I've met rookie recruiters. That one guy in particular is based in Canada. He bills about $700,000 a year. He's got 2 years experience, but he's got a fantastic attitude. And I think it was his auntie used to work for Corn Ferry. His auntie.
His auntie. That sounds adorable. That's adorable. His auntie.
British people.
I know. It's so cute.
So fancy.
It is about the attitude and having the skills in themselves aren't enough. It is about having the right attitude. So the first thing I'd say is, have a crystal clear goal about what it is you want to achieve. You've got to be committed to that goal as well. And acknowledge, do you know what? Every now and then, stuff's going to happen and things are going to go wrong. And you've got to be, so you do need that resilience. You do need to accept responsibility. So Drew touched on this. we talk to recruiters every day of the week. So how are things going? They go, things would have been going great if it wasn't for the pandemic. And now with the pandemic, we're going to lose consultants. And as Drew said, the business was brittle before. But if you can accept responsibility and go, do you know what? The pandemic is a pain in the butt. But maybe, just maybe, if we did things differently, maybe if we made provisions for things being tight at some stage. Because Drew said, and David's been talking about for ages, there was always going to be another recession. We just didn't know when and how it was going to happen. But that all comes from a mental attitude and just how you view the world. And we just find that the real top billers, there's one thing that they do. They accept 100% responsibility for everything in their life, including their own success and failures as well.
And failures. I just commented on that in one of the Facebook groups. Exactly that. Biggest thing I've noticed in leading a big organization of recruiters, totally. That to be self-reflective, to look yourself in the mirror and to say, what if I caused this deal falling apart? What if I didn't do everything? Right there. And they're great at it. And that, to me, I've always said, I think that's maybe the biggest trait of success. And there's a lot of them.
Well,
but
yeah.
Well, I'll think about that. Okay.
Just to finish.
Yeah. Sorry.
One question that we ask our clients when we meet them, if we say, what are the 20 things that you're doing right now that when you do them, they ensure that you're not successful? And people always smile and say, listen, you don't need to share it with me, but write down what the 20 things that you're doing right now that ensure that you're not successful. And you touched on it there, Neil. It's about being honest with yourself. And and people come back and they say, wow, and some of the things they say, it's just amazing. Well, here's the good news. If you look at those 20 things and actually say, here's what I'm doing to ensure that I'm not successful. If you do the opposite of that, that's going to take you a long way to get where you want to get to. So I just want to finish on that subject about making a list of all the things that you're doing to ensure you're not successful.
And send it to your auntie to review it for you, because your auntie will give you some great advice there, really.
To piggyback off that, as far as mindset, now I was only planning on talking about mindset today, but I will say this, and no, for a lot of you guys who've seen my stuff and know me, you guys know I'm a big fan of stoicism. Jocko with extreme ownership, Ryan Holiday, the obstacle is the way. And I think, for recruiters, you get people complain about the pandemic. People complain about it as opposed to owning it. Like, it's your responsibility. I have a speech impediment. I've talked about this many, many times. Am I going to go be a victim about it? No, I'm going to own it and I
you
beat
do?
it. And
you have one?
Yeah, I've verbal apraxia.
What kind?
I'm
what does that mean? I've never noticed a thing.
They thought it was a stutter. And my brain doesn't click with my mouth the right way. And so when I was younger, that was like that. They thought I was a stutter, but it's more like I can't get the consonants out. I still have it. I actually have strategies that I use to not. But what I'm saying is that who gives a shit? Like, no one. I can have some stop story, whatever. Who cares? Like, I own that shit, and I think that's what people have to do. Is that they have to willing to two things is obviously be willing to own whatever happens to you. It is on you, and it's not anybody else. It's on you. And secondly, is the standards. And this is one I think a lot of people don't think about this. Everyone has these huge goals. I want to build this or I want to do that. And a lot of times though, our behavior is actually more motivated by what our standards are, because we don't want to break our standards. As an example, when do we work the hardest? When our bank account is the lowest. When we get 100 grand on the bank, what do? We take time off. Why?
If you don't shut down, that's so it's dead on.
You gotta raise your standards.
Yeah.
You got to raise those standards. That's the key to success, raising standards continuously.
It's the best thing that happened to me, the pandemic. Honestly, I have been more successful, more focused because of that initial drive. And maybe it's the panic. I say I'm not, and the things that I've been needing to do that haven't, which is so many of them, it's just amazing. And then the end result is you get back, you reap what you sow,
Yeah.
By the way, real quick, guys, I just wanted to give a shout out to some of the comments here. Thank you, Neil. He's a great question, David. So thank you, Neil. Let's see. Michael, the animal says, good accent, Neil. You should use that for the whole show. You should use that for the whole show. Karen says she has to book an appointment for tactical. So yes, you do. Yes, you do. I want to make sure I hit everybody because we got to encourage the comments. So we don't, we'll lose our tens of viewers.
In our defense, we're getting very good traction on the replay. So you replay people, share it. Yeah,
the replays do great. Ripley's great. Actually, Ripley's do better. But I've A/B tested this. When I cut Neil out, the replays
That's
tend
normal.
to do
You didn't need to
significantly
A/B
better.
test that. Talk to my auntie. My auntie would have told you this.
Neil
Totally.
Lebovits.
Yeah, you didn't need to A/B test it.
I love you, Neil.
So David,
I'm
not
just kidding.
to get off
you were
the
a valuable
content, but this
contribution.
was big, and everyone wanted to know this last week, and we ran out of time. We had some tech issues, but you were going to share with everyone your Tinder funnel. There's a Tinder funnel. I don't know what it means. And you said to remind you. So I put a note. I note everything. I put a note last night and then this morning to remind you about the Tinder funnel. What the heck is that?
I don't know if I want to talk about my Tinder funnel.
Well, you brought it up. You asked me to remind you. Oh, dude.
Yeah,
that's so,
I was in a.
I've got a secret.
I'm not prepared.
All right, we don't have to do Tinder funnel.
All right, so all right, all right. This is for all you young fellas out there. You know, when you look at a thing like Tinder, right? It's in essence, it's a messaging platform, much like LinkedIn, right? You gotta connect, and they connect, and you can see the message, and of course, obviously, kind of the further down you go, the funnel, anyway, I'm going to leave it at that. All I'm saying is
so many analogies come to mind.
I'm not prepared to talk about it. Let's talk about it later because I'm not comfortable talking about this because I'm going to offend our one female viewer, and I can't do that. So maybe next time.
All right, we'll save it. I imagine that if we get into it, we'd have to talk about account penetration. Does that play in? Is that what you don't want to penetrating your targets? Sorry.
All right, let's talk about this. So how about this? Here's a good question. So one thing that I talk about a lot is the change in psychology. Here I'm changing the subject, right? The change in psychology with the pandemic. Because for me, I said in an instant, boom, every psychology just shifted. And if you're still selling the same way, saying the same things, it may not resonate as much because people, like for example, I said, look, if you have clients who are still hiring, go back to them and say, hey, we were selling opportunity before. Now we need to sell security, strength of leadership. Tell me about that, right? Because that's more what people are probably looking for now, considering what's going on. So I'm curious, with your training or what you're working with your clients, how are you working with them in terms of changing their psychological approach to the market? I'm kind of curious what you guys are doing in that space.
So I think agree 100% what you said. Sorry, can you guys hear me okay now?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can hear you. It's still kind of spotty, but we can hear you.
Okay, so I think agree with what you said 100%. I think when the pandemic hit, your hiring managers, their fears, frustrations, wants and desires in relation to what recruitment all changed. Probably at the start of the year, like everyone, they're really optimistic. They're thinking best case scenario. When it happens, you start thinking, avoiding the worst case scenario. So I think if you didn't change your message at that point, you're no longer relevant, and if you're no longer relevant, you get ignored. So we with the recruiters we helped, we worked hard at tweaking their messaging to fit their market. And I think different sectors have a different reaction to the pandemic. It wasn't like a blanket thing. For some sectors it was a big opportunity, across the board. For some sectors it was they're completely shut down. So depending on where your market are, and even now in terms of what's going on, there's talk of possibly another peak, another spike. There's talk of a recession. Like, where are they now in terms of their mindset, in terms of how they think about what you sell? And I think you need to make sure that you're relevant. You need to make sure that you're meeting them where they are right now. Terry, anything you add to that?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. It's having an attunement to their subjective emotional experience, in essence. Meeting them where they're at, 100%. There's well, let me ask you. So I guess maybe for these folks to have like a nice takeaway, if you were to say, okay, you're constructing messaging, for example, what would your recommendation be to meet your audience where they're at?
I'd say where they were, say, 6 weeks ago is different to where they are now. So there's certainly more optimism and hope than there was, say, 6-8 weeks ago. So the conversation so part of the conversation when you're communicating, be it an email or a video or a webinar, is you rightly said, you've got to meet them where they are, so your message is resonating with them. So something like, if you're a hiring manager, the last 6 weeks have been hell, the last 8 months have been hell. But I suspect that if you're like many hiring managers, you're now thinking about the last quarter of this year. So you're getting into mind of what they're thinking about the last quarter of this year. Because even if they say to you right now, See, one of the things that we advocate is that you shouldn't be talking to hiring managers today about what they're recruiting today. Because if you talk to a hiring manager, they go, yeah, I'm recruiting. I've got 6 other guys working on this. If you want the job order as well, you can work on it. So we say, well, why would you do that? You're better off talking to the hiring manager who's going to be recruiting next month or the month after. Even if a hiring manager says, I'm going to bring somebody in the last quarter, it's worth having the conversation now, because they want them to join in the last quarter, even for only on 4 weeks' notice. They've got to make the offer probably September time. So it's having that conversation and what's called future pacing them about what's going to be happening later on this year, and get into the mindset is, this is what you're going to be thinking about later on this year. Here's some of the ways that we can help you overcome some of the challenges you'll like to face going forward. So it is really making sure that your message resonates with the reader or the listener or however you're communicating. And if you go back to the beginning of the pandemic, I mean, consumption of webinars and videos increased by 4,000%, because we're all at home. We had no choice. We had no choice but to watch the webinars.
Most people didn't even know what Zoom was back then, right? Zoom, I mean,
right.
That was a start, right? Just everyone knows Zoom now.
Absolutely. So that take-up is now declining. It's still higher than it was pre-pandemic, but they're the sort of things that you need to be taking advantage of, because, I hate to say this, there's a new normal out there, isn't there?
Yeah, well, there is. I think, and to piggyback off that, and by the way, we do have a question from one of our tens of viewers, from
both
Neil.
of them.
Both of them. Can you give me some?
Hey, it's a holiday here. It's a holiday here.
Of course it is.
Can you give me some examples of how you've overcome the classic COVID objections from prospects? Now, before we go, we throw that to the Edwards boys here. Yeah, I forget.
That was the speech thing you were talking about.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Now it's coming out.
Yeah, I get that when you see me like do that, it's kind of I get caught on a word and I have to like think of.
I've never noticed it. I'm not going to ever make fun of that, because that you can't help. No.
Oh, you can make fun. I don't give a shit. It's my daughter has it, but it manifests differently. But luckily my son doesn't have it. My youngest daughter, we'll see. But So, but as far as the COVID messaging, so one thing I've found, I don't remember the study, but it was a study that was done recently that says something like 70 or 80% of consumers were sick and tired of COVID messaging. And I will say this, every single email list I've ever been on was like, we're here with you in this unprecedented times. And it's like, oh, I don't care, man. And so I think, a lot of like the messaging I do is I just make fun of it, and it gets a good response because people appreciate the look. They're sick of it. You had to mention it initially, but now it's kind of like, okay, you can still do the same thing, but you're kind of a lemming at this point, right?
Do you think you have to mention it now at all? I don't think you need to touch it now. You think you need to bring it up?
Well, no. You don't have to bring it up. I like to make fun of it.
No, I get that
my
strategy.
Yeah,
I get the strategy.
I just go, I just make fun of it, my messages, and it gets a great response because they're kind of sick of it, to be candid. But let me ask you this. So a question from one of our viewers here. How would you? Let me see. So how would you overcome the classic COVID objections from prospects? Well, first off, Neil, that's not a classic objection because COVID is only a few months old. So it's kind of like the new COVID
classic. It will be like 4 years from now. But
probably 4 years from now. Yeah. But so what would you suggest, guys, for someone who's out there in the market doing their thing, trying to get some good old GOs?
But what do they mean by classic, David? Like we're not hiring now because we furloughed people? Yeah, is that a classic? Is that what they mean?
Yeah, so we're shutting down. Not yet. We don't know what's going on yet. We're wait and see. Probably the wait and see. I would imagine is probably one of the biggest COVID objections. Just like we don't know.
It's the same objections, though, aren't they? They're the same ones, just magnified and shifted a bit. I don't need to answer that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree with Neil.
What do you guys say?
I agree with what Neil said. I think like before, when it first started, no one knew what the end of it was going to look like. So you could understand the objections more then. I think now we can all see that we're coming out the other side. I don't know what's like over there, but lockdown here has ended in most places. You can see a pathway out. So I think you need to be a leader for the hiring managers you're speaking to and saying, look, if you're not going to do anything, I've got clients who are doing things, you're going to get left behind. Because I think if you're in any business, really, if you're, there's a point where everyone's sat and let's wait and see what happens. I don't think you can do that anymore. we're past that point. You need to be making moves forward. And, you know, I think if we're going to go into a recession, which we probably are, like having the right team around you is vital. And every team's got underperformers, right? So, you know, it needs to be about, look, if you've got underperformers at the moment, they need to be replaced with.
I mean, I think it's a time to get really good at that objection, right? So whatever you think the classic COVID one is, no needs, we don't really have the budget for it right now, we will later. All the time, anything in objection handling, first thing you need to do is strip it back. Just because it's COVID time doesn't mean it's true. And you can only do it by having good technique where you question it and find out what the case really is. Because again, people are going to always give you an objection to blow you off, right? That's the main reason why they come out. And get really good at it. The fact that, yeah, it's being postponed for a bit. Here's my angle. It's the same as it would have been 3 years ago. It's just you're going to run into it a lot more. But I think it's a great time to hone your technique, you know, really. Yeah.
Here are my thoughts on the COVID-19 objection. So I use the positive K technique. The positive K technique is named after a young rapper, young at the time, named Positive K, who in that song, you know, when she says, "I got a man," and he says, "What your man got to do with me? Ain't trying to hit at." See, now the less you take from that objection handling, positive K method is kind of you brush it off, move forward, brush it off, move forward. Like it's kind of like the parry and attack style. You're not going to go to do this like, right? Because you're maybe you're ready to rebuttal in a book. And that's like, but you're not going to really use it in real life, as opposed to a box. You're just going to kind of parry and just keep moving forward. So when you are talking, right, and say, let's say you're saying you're asking for a position, and say, well, we're you know, it's COVID-19, we're waiting and see. Well, you're kind of stuck. But if your goal, instead of just going to ask for the position, is trying to uncover pains, because what we're doing is we're at the end of the day, we're solving pains. If there's not a pain there to solve, then we can't sell them anything. So let's try to find if they're feeling pain. So, you know, we're waiting and see. God, hey, no problem at all. You know, everybody is. But anyway, but I want to ask about this and try to sort of dig into some of those pains first, because then if you can find some sort of pain that can be relieved through, again, you can have a business that is suffering, but there's that one person out there that is maybe the good economy wasn't the best person, but now they have experience leading the company through change or hardship or bringing companies back from the brink. That might be the person they need, but they don't know it yet. And if you can figure out the pains that they have and kind of brush those off to the side for right now and dig in further, because then, and if they don't have a pain, then okay, then let's move on to the next. So I think it's more about having that ulterior motive in front of the pain first. You can brush off those HR no openings, whatever, like, okay, yeah, I get it, no problem. Anyway, and let's dive further in, and that's how I like to handle them, you know.
Isn't the takeaway there now is a time to really have conversations, right? Because in the old days, pre-COVID-19, 5 months ago, it would almost be a dialing for dollars, because you know, if I have an NPC or you know, if I have something good, I'm going to find someone that has a need right now. And when they blow you off, it's almost, all right, well, let me not waste my time. Now it's not a waste of time. You got to just start probing. There is pain. There's a conversation. There's something you're going to glean that you'll be able to use in the fourth quarter, as the Edwards has said. But you know what it's time for now, David? Ding 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 ding.
Oh, okay, it's the news thing. I don't know.
Yeah, we don't have the news graphic. It's time for the news segment. You guys know the news segment? It's just
they're too. Yeah, see, we're making idiots, and they're like too cool for school.
I know. I feel really uncomfortable with this show.
Yeah. No, I was waiting for the logo to come. You had the logo last time.
We did. We're using a different platform today, and we're going to have it. Normally, I have a spinning logo, but you have to bear with us.
That was the trigger. Do it again. I'm ready this time.
So, all right, I want to get your take on this. So, this is another one of these polls that we see. This is Work Now report by Work Labs. The women are twice as likely to leave the employer due to workplace experiences during the pandemic. Women are twice as likely to leave because of their experience. What does that mean? Why do we think? Any takes, Edwards boys?
Could you repeat it, please, Neil?
I can indeed. Women are twice as likely to leave the employer due to workplace experience during the pandemic. It could be your sister, your auntie, could be any of those, really, actually. Any idea?
That was pretty good. That
Not
was pretty
bad.
good,
No,
actually.
not, they would know that wasn't good at all, right? Like for English, it wasn't good, right? You knew it was totally fake. Didn't sound real, right?
You sounded
David
just
always
like
says
Terry
it
to
sounds
me.
good, but no, Edwards, was my accent good? It was bad, right? Honestly, it's not good.
I've heard worse, Neil, but it wasn't
Yeah.
bad. But you need to add things like bloody hell. You got to add that to it as well, because bloody
Right.
hell.
Crisp and crocas, right? You have some of those stupid saying, right? You're I never good. Whatever. Yeah. Anywho.
All right.
So
Well, yeah. So that's what say you guys as far as like why are women, I guess, was twice as likely to leave due to workplace conditions? Was that the
yeah, some of it was
headline?
the 50% of working parents are without childcare, so that's impacted. I wonder why the women though, like it was a noticeable. It's why they brought it up. It was a noticeable difference between men and women on that.
Oh,
one.
I can tell you. I can tell you right now.
Yeah, what's your take?
Well, let's like I guess I have an idea, but
Mm-hmm.
I want to. Do you guys want to?
I think the show's all about that.
So my thought basically is that, as far as men, women, we tend to notice different things. Oftentimes, they say like when women or girls, when they're younger, they mature emotionally faster because they have a better, again, attunement to other people, their emotions, what's going on. While guys typically are more like we like, not all the time, but for the most part, tools and straightforward stuff and just go. And so I think a lot of times women have a better attunement to their environment. So there's a big change in the environment and it's not maybe conducive to them. They may be more likely to say, you know what, this is just not me anymore. But the guy's just like,
it goes back to the social thing, right?
Move,
the socialization.
We just yeah, and there's a reason why women mature emotionally faster than men do, just because they're better at that for the most part, not all. But that'd be my take on it from maybe like an evolutionary standpoint, maybe as far as like how we kind of just are different in that sense.
But, yeah, I'd go along with that, David. Yeah, as just awareness to the changing environment. Yeah, that would make sense. Yeah, and they're more attuned to the environment. Yeah,
I think from the women that I know, they seem to have more fear about COVID-19 than the men I know. So maybe that's a factor as well.
Yeah, and they like to socialize more at work. That's totally up there, right? And not that guys don't socialize, but that's a needed part of their, and it ties right into piggybacking on what you were saying, both of you. It's a need that they have. And without that, it makes it much less satisfying.
Yeah, and again, and there's also the kids from home, like Constance. Hey, by the way, hi Constance. It's been a while. Constance said,
"Surely you can't be serious."
Back in the day, my cousin just resigned. Mostly pressures around kids from being home. Yeah, and I think a lot of it as well. Let's say you have mom and dad both at home with the kids. Your mom is more likely to take over those responsibilities. Or more likely to have that expectation. That's maybe potentially. I do think, I think it's a lot of just. I think women do have more of an emotional attunement, and I think it could be an advantage in some ways and disadvantage to others. Again, we're all different, and but at the same time, as guys, we're just kind of like just move straight forward, and
all right,
and it looks like excuse me. Sorry, I got a frog in my throat. So, all right. So more news. What we got?
Yeah. So I was gonna say. So let's segue into the next topic about women, and it's not the Tinder funnel. We're gonna save that for another time. But so nominations are now open. So this is Staffing Industry Analyst, the Staffing Industry Review magazine. You can apply or recommend anyone or nominate anyone that you know for the 2020 Global Power 150 Women in Staffing list. So a couple of thoughts. One, we had two people that I know of in the Hurt group that made the Forbes 250 list. That's unbelievable. Who in this group, who in all of our groups can make the right? I mean, we had two, right? We had Rich and there was again, what was her name?
And Robbie. Yeah.
I mean, amazing, right? So that's
Robbie
amazing.
Yep.
To be so again, top 250 like in the world, right? So this is global now, top 150 women. And would love to see some people in our groups get that. So I think you nominate. Does it matter? This kind of, when I see these things, I think it's super cool. Like, it's great to get your picture in there. I remember I was in a 40 under 40, but you could almost pay your way into those things, I feel. Remember like when you would Who's Who? Remember those books that came out? I don't know if that was big in the UK, but after you graduated high school for like 5, Who's Who in finance, and all you have to do is pay to get your name in the book and you're in.
Well, when I was 9 years old, so I won the 10 under 10.
You're
And
joking or
it
you're
didn't do
serious?
anything for my popularity in grade school.
That's funny.
Nothing. So that's just me. But I will say, those sorts of awards, I mean, they'd be good if you promote. I mean, I think anything like that that builds credibility is good if you promote it and make people know about it without being a douche and being, you know what I mean? I mean, for example, it's better to be thought of as a thought leader than to say you are a thought leader. But at the same time, if you promote what you're doing and the words that you have, it definitely be a big credibility booster for sure, for sure. But again, the 10 out of 10 thing did nothing for me.
Yeah, on a personal level, I get a lot of phone calls from awards companies saying we'd like to enter into this award. You've got to pay for the table, you've got to pay for the award. I am quite dismissive of these awards, so I kind of I've never done it.
I think those are real awards.
No, a lot of them are fake and they're money makers. But again, it's cool about it is they appeal to people's egos, which by the way, as a sales tool, I would train people on this all the time. You have a great client, invite them to a friggin' article, have them write an article like to appeal to their ego. Hey, listen, I know you did this. I would love to know, could I get a couple sound bites for an article I'm doing on retention? Like your people love working there. Like stuff like that is brilliant to use.
Yeah,
because,
absolutely. Yeah.
Again, right? Egos are huge, and we can apply that to what we're doing. So this one though, I'll say anything that they do is legit. The staffing industry review, and they take all the nominations seriously. So definitely go on the website if you know anyone, nominate them. It'd be great to get them in the group. All right, another story we have, and I don't know if I picked this one because of the title now or whatever. But I think so. Temp penetration rate. Sorry, I can't even. Temp penetration rate falls sharply since I'm like 10 years old. I swear to God, I am.
Neil.
Temp penetration rate falls sharply since the start of the pandemic, and that's the amount of workers out there that are temp versus the standard workforce. So any take on why the penetration? No, I'm thinking. So my mind, I'm thinking, no, this is important. No, it's temp penetration. But
what is temp penetration again? I didn't. So what is that? Well, I lost it after you said penetration.
Would you agree that penetration has decreased during the pandemic? That's I think.
I'd say it's increased. There's gonna be a lot of pandemic babies.
I think I'm not talking. That's disgusting. I'm not talking. I think it might have increased in the beginning, but I think it probably slowed down afterwards.
So what's that? Because I'm not familiar with temp penetration.
Is defined as a proportion of people working on a temporary basis through a staffing firm compared to total people in employment. So how many people are temps out there versus total employment?
Okay, so the number of temps are so companies are shedding temps first before they shed their full timers, basically, for the most part.
I don't care about that story. I like focusing on temp penetration rate.
Of course you do. Of course you do, Neil. That's why you're on the show. You are our you're the color guy, I guess. Is that
Can I just say
guy?
this? Yeah, I feel like that's we didn't plan that, but I think that's what's happened.
That's what I'm obviously the straight man. I'm the serious one in the whole show.
Today you're more serious than usual, but no. I will say this. I was making a cold call. Can I just say one last thing quickly? I was talking to a client. I sent him out some stuff. He's like, "Hey, nice to hear from you. I happened to catch your show. How's your anus?" And I gotta say, it's really weird to make a cold call and a cold email and have that as your response back. But it helps. I think if people look at me that way, I might get their business.
Drew, Terry, one of our sponsors that we've lost is the company Boss Bidet. So anyway, but that said, so Drew, Terry, let me ask you, do you guys get involved in, I know a lot of what you do is teaching recruiters how to get retainers versus contingency. Do you guys ever work with recruiters on the temp side of things, or as far as like selling temporary? Is that something that you guys get into at all?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, you're right. The majority of our clients are on the perm side, but we have got a percentage of clients who do contract and interim work as well. And I mean, just going back to that news item, I suspect, because if you think about the industries that have been badly affected by the pandemic, so the catering, the travel, and so on, I suspect a lot of those figures come from those industries that have been badly affected, retail, by closures and shutdown. As to what's impacting that figure, because interestingly, a lot of our clients on the interim and contract side are actually saying that there's more demand now for interim and senior and contract staff than ever before over the last month or so. So it's interesting hearing those figures there.
Right, but on the same note, there's still like $200 billion worth of temp sales available at any point. So it's just like we were talking about the $700,000 perm biller. Yes, it's much harder for them, but there's a boatload of business. So for sure. So closing comments, David. What do you think?
Closing comments, yeah. So, boy, this, I feel bad, Terry, Drew, for Neil's behavior, and I apologize for his behavior on the show, Neil. Anyway, I'm talking to my agent when I'm done with the show.
You apologize every week. We're going to have to accept it. Right now, I'm
paid zero.
Wow.
Zero.
Very hurtful. You're very, very hurtful today. That was a couple weeks
ago.
No, but I love.
Well, Neil, you like it. You like the pain. He has yet to give me his safe word, so I'm going to roll with it until he says, "What does he say for rutabaga?"
No, I think we said the safe word is keep going.
Oh, keep going.
Right,
okay, got it.
Don't stop. Don't stop. What's our safe word?
Don't stop. Well, that said, so we're gonna wrap the show up here because it's already dead on the vine, I think, and we have lost, I think, our last viewer. But with that being said, I'd like to ask you folks if you guys want to talk a bit more about what you do, what kind of programs you have, and how the fine folks here can get in touch with you. Feel free to lay it on us, man. What do you guys got?
Yeah, okay. So we help recruitment and search owners make more placements for higher fees with less work and fewer headaches. Essentially, we help them get more conversations with hiring managers in the market that have need for services, help them convert all those conversations into sales for the right fee and on the right terms, and build systems to do it in a way that doesn't suck all the time and energy away from the business owner. If you want to know more, you can connect with us on LinkedIn, Facebook, websites, makemoreplacements.com. Or we're in the Hurt group anyway, so we'll probably see you about.
Yeah, and tell you, you guys are great. They've been around for the industry for a long time. The wealth of knowledge is pretty immense with these folks. So
and terribly highly respected. Terribly highly respected. Really, everyone that works with you guys are truly salt of the earth type people, and you have that reputation. So
thank you very much, Neil.
You're
very, very professional and great accents. I mean, come on, guys. I mean, really, think about it.
He's going to be delighted to hear that. Yeah. Absolutely delighted.
The dynasty.
She's got one of those. Hello.
The dynasty will continue, guys. The dynasty will continue. All right, folks. Well, thank you very much, everybody. I really appreciate being on the line here. All the comments. You got Constance. We got the animal. We got Neil. We got Carrie. We had probably a couple other people here as well. Mario R. Whatever, Mario.
Mario R.
Anyway,
damn him.
I love you all. Thank you very much, and we will see you next week. Peace out.
Have a great holiday, everyone.
Yeah.
Hey, thank you for watching Headhunters and Boxers Talking Smack. Who doesn't love Headhunters and Boxers? And who doesn't love Talking Smack? Join the show every Friday, 12 noon Eastern, live in the Headhunter and Executive Recruiter community. Make sure you click one of these boxes here and watch some of these videos or something. I don't know what's going on here. I just work here.